And we're here for the 5th episode of OMG JK. I'm Jason Kincaid.
And I'm MG Siegler.
So our first topic today is Facebook questions. It was a feature that everyone's known about for a few months now, but they finally started rolling it out to users. I think they said something like 5% of the user base has access right now, and they're going to be rolling it out over the next few months. So if you played around with it at all, what do you think so far?
Yeah, I played with it around briefly right when it came out in the past few days. I've been answering questions about TechCrunch. People are asking specific questions about us. And
nice questions, I assume. Right?
Yeah, right.
Everyone loves it.
What's the best tech blog in the world? Those type of things. It is pretty cool, I think. I think it has a lot of potential, but I know that there's quite a few UI issues right now and stuff. You have problems with that.
So, yeah, no, I totally agree with the potential. I think the post I wrote, I said it has the potential to be massive.
Right.
But the UI at this point, well, I first logged in, and for one, I've got bugs where I can't see the questions, but also when I actually can
That's
see
a problem for the questions.
Absolutely. The navigation, I couldn't figure out how to get to the next question. It's because there's a button at the top of the screen you have to hit.
The next question.
It's just not really consistent with the rest of the Facebook experience.
Yeah.
But I think they'll work it out. More in the long term, though. I mean, how do you think this is going to do against, say, Yahoo Answers or
Quora, which is, of course, made by ex-Facebook people who did that. Quora definitely seems a lot nicer right now. It seems much more polished, but they've been working on it, or it's been out at least for longer. I know they've been working on the Facebook thing for a while. Yeah, but I mean, the fact that these questions go right into the Facebook stream, and like that's where I see them all the time. I see like, oh, Jason answered a question about so-and-so, and that, that's pretty killer.
I mean, so I think the one differentiating factor at this point, Facebook obviously has the massive built-in install base for the questions product. Quora doesn't, but Quora has them beat on quality so far.
Right.
Do you think that's really going to matter in the long term? My opinion is, some people may turn to Quora if it really is that much better, but most people are probably still going to use Facebook anyway.
Well, the idea of Quora was always that it was so cool because it was so closed, and there weren't a lot of outside people in who could just fill it with bullshit answers, about things. But now that they're starting to open it up more, is it going to be as good as it once was originally?
It's going to be hard to maintain that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. The second topic we're going to talk about is the new Kindle. Amazon just launched a new one. They have the 3G version for I think $189.
$189.
And then a Wi-Fi version for $139. So that's a pretty nice price for this thing.
Right. No, I think this makes it accessible to people who might buy it on a whim. Before now, I think it's been one of those purchases that you think about for a while. Do I really need this? This is more like, a nice birthday gift as opposed to something that's like a longer term investment in your reading.
Right, but and Jeff Bezos, the Amazon CEO, has come out and said, he thinks that it might be ready to go mainstream now. They've been talking about that it's been very successful, like Amazon's most successful product or whatever.
But to that point, I know your stance is that the Kindle is going to die and the iPad is going to kill it.
Not necessarily the iPad, but I think that all of these different tablets are eventually, and not right away. I think that Amazon was very smart in what they did with this price cut. I mean, they had to do it because they're competitors. It's not so much in response to the iPad necessarily, these price cuts. It's like the Nook.
Sure.
Because they had to make it, $10 cheaper than those, because the Kindle when it first came out was $3.99 or whatever, way too expensive.
Luxury item for sure.
At this price, it makes a lot more sense, and I think that it's going to, be successful for the next couple of years. But it's after the next couple of years when, tablets are, more commonplace.
So, but what's going to be the turning point? To me, having used the Kindle and the iPad for reading, Kindle beats it hands down. It's just not even a contest.
And I agree with that, but I still think that long term, after 2 years from now or whatever.
Well, do you think it's going to be a new screen technology that's going to drive that? I think if I had an iPad that had e-ink or no backlit display.
I don't think e-ink is tricky because part of the problem is the refresh rate and all those other things and displaying graphics and that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if, I'm sure there'll be better screens in 2 years, I don't know what kind of technology it'll be, but I just think overall that there's going to be just so much more you can do with these tablets that people will eventually, just not care so much about the reading.
See, I disagree on that point. I think people who enjoy reading books aren't going to shift their attitude to
But the idea of people who enjoy reading books read actual tangible books. They don't read Kindles.
That's definitely a good point, but there are people who love reading books but don't necessarily have easy access to a bookstore at all times. The Kindle definitely affords a certain convenience to be able to download something in like 60 seconds.
Right.
And I think it's the trade-off for book lovers, if you want to put it that way. I think there are some who are willing to sacrifice the tangible book for the Kindle. I don't think they're willing to go to the iPad, though.
Yeah, but do you think it's enough to make it a really big mainstream success? I think that it will be a success. I think it is already a moderate success, but the iPad's almost already outselling the thing. If it's not,
I think it's
it might
apples
be.
to oranges. I think that's like saying, laptops are better.
Yeah. But my point is just that these tablets are going to keep selling like crazy, and everyone's going to have this functionality built into the tablets.
I agree with that, but I don't think that means the Kindle is going to go down because of it.
Not even in like 2 years. I don't think for
I think
the
growth rate of the iPad may well be faster than the Kindle, but I don't think the Kindle is going to trend downward because of that.
So you think all things will rise?
I think these two will both rise.
All right.
Okay, next topic. Apple Magic Trackpad. I believe you said that the mouse is dead.
Right. So the Kindle's dead, and now the mouse is dead.
You just like saying
books are dead. Everything's dead. Kill.
We should just call you the Undertaker.
I like that. Yeah. No. So the Magic Trackpad. So full, disclaimer here. I haven't used the thing yet.
Oh, okay.
But I'm talking about it from the perspective that I love using the trackpad on my notebook, on the MacBook, which is essentially the same thing, though a little bit smaller. The Magic Trackpad is 80% larger or whatever than the trackpads on the newest version of the MacBooks. I love using that thing so much more than a mouse. It's just like with the 4-finger swipe down, that launches expose and like all these different multi-touch gestures.
So I've got the Magic Mouse. I was a doubter of the Magic Mouse when it first came out.
Right.
And I really, really like having the multi-touch built on there. But why would the trackpad be better than the Magic Mouse? Because you have the best of both worlds with that, don't you?
Yeah. Okay. So I like the Magic Mouse too, and I have one, and it's great. It's still like a little bit too dumbed down version of multi-touch, though. You can't do everything. You can do swipe back and forth, which is nice, but they don't have like 4-finger, up and down. Like I am a full multi-touch.
He's a big multi-toucher.
Exactly. I love all that functionality, and especially now that we're so used to it with Android phones and iPhones and iPads, all this different multi-touch functionality. Imagine what they can, it's not just the functionality that it has right now, it's what they can do in the future with it. They can build apps that are just used for, pinch to zoom and things like that.
I don't think you're wrong in that. I think there's definitely going to be a big audience for people using trackpads instead of the mouse, but I think the mouse still has a place for a while.
The mouse has a place for a while, and
it's not dead.
I wasn't saying that it was dying right now, but I mean, it's
well, all this stuff is going to be dead eventually.
It's stupid to think, that it's not going to die eventually. But that was my point. I mean, but this is kind of heralding the end of the mouse era. I think it's not going to die tomorrow, but I think that eventually, this plays into the idea that everything is moving towards touch, because this is really touch coming upon the desktop for the first time in a major way.
Need touch. I want the holograms or whatever.
Right, and that will come along and kill touch eventually.
Yes. Okay. Last story. The Android wallpaper of doom. I don't know what else to call it. So apparently a security firm discovered that wallpaper was sending sensitive data to China.
Right.
What's your take?
Big deal. Yeah, so this was at the Black Hat conference, right?
Black Hat conference.
Okay, so yeah, this app supposedly, which is for Androids only, was sending text messages, but that turned out not to be true.
Right. So basically, the press screwed up big time.
Yeah, but there still is something to this. I mean, it's not good that it's sending back phone numbers, certainly. And they said that was definitely happening, right?
Right. No, I mean, I think that's certainly the case. I do think one part of this that I think people try to turn this into a sort of platform war, like, ooh, Android is inherently insecure because this application says... The same thing could have happened with an iPhone, though, couldn't it?
Well,
Apple does not screen the code of every application. That's why...
Well, they screen what it does. They run it through and try and see what it does.
Yeah, but I think if a developer really wanted to get past that, they could. For example, the flashlight application that was used for tethering.
Right.
I think especially Apple's mentality may be even less secure than Google's, because with Google you may be taught you have to look out for your own security, whereas with Apple you kind of assume that they checked it for you. I don't think.
Yeah, okay. That's a fair point on some level,
but it's wrong.
Well, it's just that, I mean, most, we're thinking about this as two, kind of tech geeks and stuff. Sure. It's like most people aren't even thinking about that at all.
It's definitely true.
There's no element of security that comes into their mind. They're just using these apps. They don't like, oh, what the hell's going on?
I mean, to that point, Android's permission system where you just hit like OK, basically. Right. I don't think that's going to work in the long term either.
Google has a kill switch though right, and so does Apple. Apple hasn't used it yet, I don't think, but
I think Google has it at one point.
One point, yeah. So it's interesting that they can both do that, and that's a pretty good feature to have, even though it kind of sounds scary or whatever. But I don't know. This still seems like a pretty bad. It's
not good. Yeah. Definitely. I just don't think this should be positioned as a weapon in the platform war.
What's kind of interesting though is that, you know, this is a fairly big deal. We both agree about that.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously the iPhone 4 antenna issue was a pretty big deal. But that was like blown out of proportion to the extreme.
You think
and
it's
this is like
only fair for Wallpapergate?
Yes, we need to have a press conference. We need free bumpers for the wallpaper gate, and
no tinfoil hats for your phone, so you can make sure no data is being sent.
Right,
we need a mini Faraday cage that you just wrap your phone in.
Yes, to be able to make sure that nothing's getting sent to China.
Awesome. All right, I think that does it for this episode of OMG JK. Make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or through RSS, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.